just finalizing the detail on this comb, and this is what I have when I exported the Boolean mesh. Just one half. It looks a bit crude, but it's got some good positioning. And after a bit of work, this is where I'm at now. I've done some quite good work at the back. These areas are quite tricky, and there's going to be an overlay in here on there. So yeah, it's coming along. We've got some fancy curl back areas here. This is what it looks like underneath. So I'm working with the helmet so I can get the exact positions. Bit of tidying up to do back here. And some of these surfaces need to be flattened and filled. Yeah, a bit of difficulty with this. You see there's these lines have to come out a little. They have to be pulled out because these were generated by a flat surface, which was the only way really to do it. But then they have to curve, they have to kick out as they reach this, as we come down from the ridge at the top, they have to kick out a little bit here. So if I had a mask I prepared, and I've done a bit at the back here, it might need some more. But if I have my mask and I have my pivot here, I can pull that out a little bit like this. And then we can see this is more of the effect we want. I think I need a little bit more on the one behind. So I'm just going to subtly mask this. Something like that. Okay, a bit of a blur. Let's give it a blur. This whole thing is 3.5 million polygons. I need some detail now. But maybe grow a little bit. I need to grow it. Okay, now that could be good. If I do the same thing again, relocate my pivot, and just pull that out. This is more like it. So many subtle curves, and this curve, this kicking out, as I say, that would be impossible to consider at the first stage when I did the Booleans. Just can't make those kind of considerations. It's this line, this cutaway I was looking for. Okay, let's redynamesh. I mean, that's surprisingly good. I was going to say it needs a it's going to need some filling. So I take the flatten tool and I just fill. So I just want to soften that. I just want to soften that curve a little bit, and so it's not as dramatic. Oh, what's going on there? Strange thing with flatten, sometimes it just turns to butter. And that's why you have to lift your tool more often. It's a bit like Photoshop. You see, lift, lift, lift. Always forget to lift. And then you can actually lose a lot of work because you made a mistake at the end of your brush movement. Well, what the hell's going on there? Yeah, I know why. This is because I didn't have auto masking on. Auto masking back face. I need to mask so I'm not going through the back, because these are very thin areas and you will go through. Quite easily. So I spent a lot of time at the back here. This was really tricky, getting this thorny business. This kind of weird hook. This was a little bit of a challenge. And it's a question of how flat these inside curves are. How flat should they be? I don't think they need to be very concave. I think they need to be more flat. You see, in here, I still feel it's a bit, might be too much concavity. It really should be quite flat. They came out rather concave because of the Boolean operations. But they were great for getting the position of these lines, and then I can fill a little bit. Yeah, you see it does feel a bit concave there. I can really see that with the green metallic. Love this green metallic. It really helps me to see everything. But as I fill up to the edge here, I'm going to have more issues with the edge. I've got such a nice edge from the Booleans, but you want to preserve that as much as possible. So I'm getting a kind of lip thing, and you will find, even if you take the brush size down, it's hard to get right up to the edge. You see, there's a kind of this kind of thing. But you can flatten it carefully. The inside one is trickier because it's a real sharp edge. Right, well, this business at the back, it needs a bit of attention. There's a lot of detail. There's a kind of detailed what are they called? Leaf. It's getting late here again. There's a leaf motif. A leaf motif in here, which is you know, it's not a lot, but it's very particular. So there's something like this, and then there's something like this, and this one comes out like this. Oh, don't you love the opposite of slash? I mean, obviously this is too exaggerated, but yeah, the opposite of slash is amazing. And then slash, I need to slash in there. And it's kind of this effect. Now I need to be very flat here though. There's a certain thickness to the object. So maybe I can get in here and just build that up. This one to flatten. This one to fill. Well, I mean, that can be refined, but the idea is good. Can we see from the picture? Yeah, I'm way too far down, I think. You can see the accuracy of my sculpt here with regards to the form, the outline of the form, with a lot of poking around. I mean, this is the great thing about digital, is you can play around to your heart's content. There's no issues with materials, adding and subtracting. I mean, it's a digital clay, but it's doing things you would really struggle with real clay or polymer clay these days. So yeah, feeling quite good about the actual distances. This kicking out business is very tricky though. I feel like there has to be more of a continuation from the front to the back there. They have to be a little more unified. If this area came out, you know, like this, has to come out. Yeah, you see, you've got this, and then it's too thin here behind. And you can see this ridge, this edge at the top is a little thick around there. That's a tricky thing to fix by sculpting. take a flatten. Take a large flatten. I mean, it's just going to be trouble. Okay. Well, making progress. Pretty rapid progress. What happens in here at the back is slightly mysterious. We got some reference, but it doesn't show everything clearly. But it is going to curl in there. Well, yeah, I'm a bit tired for this right now. You know, I've done quite well. I think I'll just leave it there. And I'll come back tomorrow with fresh eyes. I mean, I imagine something like this. It's going to go in. And curl back. And then get a little touch of detail. We'll soon have the all the added details. These arcs and curves and beautiful kind of thorny shapes. They'll be added soon. Yeah, I mean, it's getting there. It's getting there. Very tricky business here at the back. All right, I'm going to leave it there. The comb, I mean, it really is bird-like. I hadn't thought about that before. Reminds me of is it cassowary? One of these weird birds. Or something prehistoric. Fascinating. Fascinating designers. Very subtle. Very tricky. I don't know how much computers were involved. Or how much was done by hand. I mean, they're very precise. So precise, it's ridiculous. But you know, they've had computers and CNC machines for a long time now. They even had 3D printers when the films were being made. Expensive 3D printers, but yeah, it was an expensive film. Okay, this can all get tidied up later. I'm pretty pleased with that because it's quite challenging. Quite challenging indeed. Let's do a little render and say goodnight. Whew. Oh boy.